Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities. Again, we'll go through the DXY, we'll go through the 10-year yield, 30-year yield, and then go through all the commodities themselves. I'll give you my financial opinion as we go. And some things are looking a little bit better today. Definitely the precious metals. They're looking a lot better. So we'll take a look at all of it. I'll give you my financial opinion and we'll dive right in. So here we go. We got the DXY. The DXY was down today, down 0.64%. We are sitting on top of this long-term trend line. And we've broken out on top of it. Now we have to see if the dollar is going to stay on top of this trend line. What it could do is break back below it and invalidate the breakout. So we're waiting on that. We've got a nice, big, fat, juicy down, bearish engulfing candlestick today where we could reverse lower and head lower with the dollar and break back below that support resistance line. It is a possibility. We've got the 10-year yield. The 10-year yield was down. It's no reversal candlestick or anything like that. So I still think that the 10-year yield will eventually work its way higher. We're starting to see a big disconnect between oil and the 10-year yield. They're usually pretty well linked together. Makes me think that they're doing a little bit of paper selling in that oil market. And we've also declined in inventories here, so it's a little confusing that we're seeing a stronger 10-year yield over the past week or two and a weaker oil price with inventories going down. A definite disconnect and anomaly that you don't normally see. But we're going down with the 10-year yield. Weaker dollar, weaker 10-year yield, weaker 30-year yield, that type of movement usually correlates well with higher precious metals prices. TLT heading a little bit higher with those weaker yields. That's the 20-year. Again, this is still in a massive downtrend movement. And then the 30-year yield also weakening a little bit today, but still in an upward trend. Looking at commodities, commodities are still weak. We've got that weakening in oil price. This is a big component of the CRB index. I still think this looks like we could head lower in the short term. And then eventually, I think we'll see a big reverse at some point and a next major move higher. This, in my opinion, is an A, B, C correction whenever we bottom here. Obviously, follow the channel and follow the website in the description link below if you want to know when that bottom is and what I'm buying. But I still think we've got short-term weakness. Gold looking a lot better here. We've got a nice another hammer candlestick, almost a bullish engulfing type pattern, stretching its legs out a little bit. And a lot of the times we see this bounce support, and then we go. Double bottom type pattern. See it a lot of the times, but that's looking good. We've got silver. That's also firming up at this support line. This looks good to start ripping higher. It looks really good. And then platinum also looking good. We're finding support in this general vicinity. We're starting to rip higher. If you've been part of the website, you know I've been accumulating below 920. So in this general vicinity everywhere, below kind of this region here, I've been accumulating all in these areas. So I do like platinum. It's one of my favorite metals from a ratio perspective, value perspective. And it's looking really good to hopefully rip higher here. The whole gold, silver, platinum complex looks pretty solid. XAU to gold ratio, this is looking a lot better. Nice big bullish engulfing today. This definitely looks like that ratio wants to go higher. To me, it looks like the precious metal sector looks really good right here for potential investment. And if you guys want to know what I'm going to be releasing today, it's a Wednesday midweek update on the website for Platinum members. I'll let you know which companies look the best on that update for precious metals. The ones that I like, at least. SILJ looking strong, right on support, bouncing off support. Looks like it's going to go higher here. Nice, good bullish engulfing. GDX also getting a lot of buying pressure today in comparison to previous days. We're right on that support level. That's this support area, if I can draw it correctly. We've got this general support region all through here with lots of buyers and sellers. We're coming into that region. We're going to use it as support. I think we're going to see some buying pressure here. So that looks good there. Going on to crude getting hit hard to the downside, selling off. We are drawing down on inventories. I do think this has something to do with the elections, and I do think that it could potentially go lower. Now, the support region that looks pretty strong from a long-term perspective, if I were to kind of draw a line in here, is right through here. $75 is a strong support area. So we're looking at $75. That's our next area of support. We're getting that fall pullback, which I said we could maybe potentially get. I was talking about that on the website, especially natural gas. It is looking like we're getting that pullback. We're coming on back here. We do have, let's see if we kind of zoom out a little bit. You know, maybe we've got one last touch if we can get down here somewhere. But yeah, it looks a little bit weak in the short term. If we look at XOP, yeah, you know me, it's kind of falling back a little bit. We're breaking this trend line to the downside. We do have some buyers coming in and buying it up a little bit. That's why it's a green day. It's momentum, it gap lower, momentum is sideways to slightly up. But we are seeing selling pressure in the natural gas and oil commodities, even with inventories going down. So that's what we've got there. Energy services following suit, slightly lower with buying pressure coming in today and buying it up a little bit. I'm seeing some pockets of strength, seeing pockets of weakness within the energy service companies. Coal looked very weak today. Uranium basically flat for the futures pricing. So it's holding, so that's good. We could get a pullback a little bit before a move higher. It's possible, but we're seeing some buying pressure, so that's a good thing. The Sprott Physical Uranium Trust today, a little bit of a down day. It's nothing. It's not a reversal candlestick. It's not a large down day. Everything looks to be intact still. Again, our eyes are set on 1815 and closing above that and holding above that. The longer we hold above it, the more bullish I get. URNM, basically, it looks like we're doing a little bit of a squeezing up pattern here, kind of a flag pattern or pennant formation that's basically occurring right now. That is bullish for a move higher. As long as we don't see too much selling pressure, I am remaining a bull, and I'm thinking that this is going to break eventually to the upside. So that's still looking good. CCJ getting some buying pressure. The buyers came back and answered back to yesterday's reversal candlestick. It is a bullish piercing pattern. Again, we'll see which way this goes. I am inclined to think that this is going to continue higher. Still looks good in my book. We are above support. We've broken down trend lines. And now all we're looking for are across resistance levels. And a resistance level, you could say there's a strong resistance level basically right above us. That's why we're pausing. We've got a lot of buying and selling pressure that's occurred in this general vicinity of where we're at today, all the way up to about, I'd say about here, in this general region up here, about $44. So we might get through and start coming up through this sticky area all through here of previous trading sessions all the way up to the release point of about $44. And that's Camco. So we're going to come up here and we're going to have to get through resistance through here. It's going to be a little bit sticky. It's not going to be, you know, moonshot, moon soon, when moon type movements. But we've got a split kind of area through here, depending on what you're looking at in terms of the companies themselves. Solar looking really strong. Again, I say that this looks ultra bullish for a big move higher in solar. You've heard me say this for a while. It's starting to firm up. It's looking good. I've already if I had any positions, I've made my positions already. I still think this looks good to move on higher. And I'll touch on some of the companies with the platinum members today in the midweek update. I'll touch on some of these ETF companies, or solar companies, I should say. COPX, the copper miners ETF, we're looking in here. This is looking a little bit better, finding some buying pressure. So that's looking a little bit better. We're above support. That's this big, long support line through here. We're coming on down, finding support, and I think we'll eventually turn. Look at the CRB to S&P 500. We're seeing weakness in this in the short term. Maybe we're coming back to do a retest out of this breakout. I think in this kind of weakness, I think gold, silver will be strong. I think solar and NASDAQ will actually bounce here probably. The S&P 500 could bounce, and if we see a weaker dollar, that will also be a tailwind behind it. Then eventually, when this does a back test, I think we could see the CRB index really start to fly at some point in the fall. Remember, oil, I think they don't want oil higher. They want to push that lower for elections. I think that they are going to dump the SPR. They're going to do everything they can to hold this thing down and push it down as far as they can. I think that also applies for natural gas. They're trying to get the inflation numbers down. They're trying to manipulate all this stuff. I think they can do it in the short term, but I don't think they will be successful at holding this down for any length of time. Scrolling on down, looking at lithium. So rare earth metals first. Rare earth metals are looking good, heading higher. That's looking strong, and lithium also looking strong. We're getting bounce off these support levels, and we're moving and rocketing on higher. I am using rare earth metals and lithium as basically a portfolio stabilizer. They kind of move opposite of oil, natural gas, and some of my other investments. So I'm kind of stabilizing the portfolio with some of these other ones, and they do have a lot of volatility, a lot of boost to the portfolio. Looking at the S&P 500, we are at that support level. It is bouncing off that support level. We'll see which way we go. If we see weaker yields, I think that we'll see strength in these in stocks. U.S. Composite Index also coming to that support level. It is finding support and bouncing higher. Will we see a bounce here? It looks likely that we could see a bounce. How big, how long? That is the question that everyone's going to have to answer. It really depends on interest rates and where oil's at. That's my take on it. EEM with that weaker dollar, we are finding support here. We're doing a full retest. Now, if we get a weaker dollar going forward, EEM is going to be an incredibly good investment, and this is an incredible entry point right here, right now. That's basically the service that I provide on the Platinum memberships with individual companies. I look at these types of setups, EEM, bullish engulfing, retest right on it. That looks really good. And if we get continued weakness in the dollar, I think that we're going to see continued strength in emerging markets, and this is going to be an incredible entry point if we get that weaker dollar. And I think that's a probability. What is that probability? I mean, we'll find out, guys. I don't try to do the short-term trading, but this is a good entry point. It's cheap, and emerging markets usually do very well in the back half of commodity bull markets with a weakening dollar. That weaker yield, 10-year yield, 30-year yield, we're seeing that bounce just like we're seeing in stocks with home builders ETFs. Bouncing higher. Nice, good, strong bounce in these stocks for home builders. We're seeing a bounce in lumber. Lumber is firming up. That looks like it wants to go higher. Looking very strong for lumber. Nickel also bouncing higher, looking strong. Can't really see the chart there too well. Cocoa futures, I still think will move higher. We've broken the downtrend, looking good. Wheat is starting to move higher. A little bit of a wick at the top, but again, it's got support underneath it. I still think it looks great to move higher. Soybeans getting a little bit weaker, looking like it wants to break to the downside. This is a continuation pennant pattern where it usually breaks to the downside because we entered from the top side. Corn moving sideways, a little bit of that bloody nose type movement. We tried moving higher. Sellers came in, sold it off a little bit. I see a little bit more sideways movement. Copper moving sideways, again, above support. We need to break this 373 level to be in a new uptrend for copper. So right now we're in the middle stages of breaking a downtrend, step one, making a higher low, step two. That's where we're at. If we can get moving here, we can make a higher high at 375 and a higher closing and go into a new uptrend from this downtrend movement or consolidation period. Looking at Mu, Mu is finding support right on that support level. It's a bullish piercing. I think that this is a good entry point right here. I think it looks good for Mu. If you back out, that's the support level we've got. We've came back, bounced higher, came back, and we're using that level as a support line, and we put in a reversal candlestick, which is a bullish piercing pattern. And I think that the probabilities of this are in favor to go higher for a short-term bounce, and we'll see how on the medium and long term. I think we're good with the agribusiness ETF. Looking at aluminum, aluminum's still coming under some pressure. We are at that support level. We're breaking down a little bit, but I do think that we'll hopefully find some support here soon. And then looking at the dry bulk shipping is still a little bit on the weak side. Pulling on back today, down 1.68%. And the companies are all mainly down. And then URNM also doing very well against a lot of the other ETFs and other areas. So what I see out on the markets, weakness in oil, weakness in natural gas, and I'm starting to see some strength in the soft commodities, agricultural ETF, MU. I'm seeing strength in precious metals because we're seeing the 10-year yield dollar fall and the 30-year yields fall. Usually when the 30-year yield the 10-year yield usually falls faster than the 30-year yield. And when you get that TYX, TNX to go up, that's usually an indication that precious metals will go higher. Usually. They're all linked together in that. So basically what I'm identifying is the market conditions where the TYX underperforms the TNX. The ratio goes on up where hopefully I have that right. I'll look at it. The market conditions are favorable for precious metals. That's what it's favorable for at this time. It looks really good. We've got bullish engulfings on all these different candlesticks. It looks like it wants to go on up. Uranium's looking still very good. That looks like it wants to go up. Mu looks like it wants to go up. And we're starting to see strength across some of these commodities that have had weakness. We're almost seeing a general rotation. Oil and natural gas have been really strong areas. Uranium was weak. This is all starting to rotate. Uranium strong, precious metals strong, and some of these agricultural soft commodity type companies I think will be strong as well. And we're going to see weakness, continued weakness in oil and natural gas in the fall. They want these things to fall. I think they're actively doing something in the markets to make them fall. And because we're seeing inventories decline still. So I think that we'll get our really good buying opportunity in oil, natural gas coming up this fall. Whenever this bottoms and starts to turn around, it may take a couple of months, but be patient. Be patient. If you guys like this analysis, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website. Description link below for the Platinum membership. If you want the midweek update, I'll be releasing that here tonight. And I'll give you my opinions on what I think are good entry points for some of these companies of what I am doing. Again, it's not supposed to be used as advice. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. And if you guys want to follow along, be welcome to do that. All right, guys, that's what I've got for today. Have a good day. This is Finding Value.